All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Think about your favorite piece of software for a second, maybe the operating system on your phone or, the browser you're using right now. Every single feature exists because someone typed out a line of code for it in binary. But now look at yourself, your height, your eye color, your susceptibility to certain diseases. They're actually all run by code too. Except your code isn't written in ones and zeros. It's written in a chemical language of just four letters: A, C, T, and G. This is your genome. It's literally a 3 billion letter instruction manual that built you from a single cell. Now, for almost all of human history, this biological manual was completely read-only. We could study it, sure, but we couldn't change it. If you had a spelling error, a genetic mutation, you just had to live with it. But a few years ago, that all changed. We've actually learned how to cut, copy, paste, and completely rewrite our own biological source code.
So I really want you to imagine something with me here. What happens when rewriting our biology becomes as routine as a lifestyle choice or simply pushing an app update? When it's no longer just some rare medical miracle, but something fundamentally accessible? I mean, this shifts absolutely everything. It completely warps and reshapes our laws, our ethics, and honestly, the very fabric of our society. We have to figure out exactly how to govern a world where parents can customize traits, where criminals might literally spoof their DNA, and where a massive divide could open up between those who can afford biological upgrades and those who can't.
Right. Let's start with Section 1, the Biosoftware Revolution, and understanding the operating system.
Historically, genetic engineering was kind of like trying to fix a watch with a hammer, right? It was messy and unpredictable. But then CRISPR-Cas9 gave us a biological search and replace tool, and the technology definitely didn't stop there. Scientists have now developed even more precise tools like prime editors and base editors. Think of these as molecular word processors. They actually allow us to change a single molecular letter, like turning a C into a T, without even cutting the DNA strand. We can write entirely new genetic sequences directly into specified sites. So we're moving far beyond the messy genetic engineering of the past into an era of incredible surgical precision. And this brings us to a massive distinction we have to make in the world of biosoftware. On one hand, we have somatic updates. This is basically like a local app update for a single patient. Say, editing bone marrow cells to cure sickle cell anemia. It heals that individual, but crucially, it's not passed to their children. On the other hand, we have germline updates. This targets embryos or reproductive cells. When you edit the germline, you change the code of every single cell in that future person's body. You are literally pushing an update to humanity's master server, an update that will be automatically downloaded by all future generations. Which brings us to Section 2, Patching the Bugs, the Medical Revolution. Now, in the beginning, DNA editing could absolutely be the ultimate medical savior. I mean, we're talking about permanently wiping out over 7,000 known rare single-gene diseases, devastating conditions like Huntington's or cystic fibrosis. But there is a massive systemic bug in our current societal framework: $2 million. That is the staggering cost per patient for Casgevy. That's the world's first CRISPR-based therapy approved in late 2023. Let that number sink in. And that price tag forces us to ask a really heavy question: who gets to live? The source material refers to this as the bioinsurance dilemma. Do we just allow a system where wealthy families can easily patch their biological bugs, while low-income families suffer from entirely preventable illnesses? And what about insurance companies? What if they realize it's actually cheaper to pay $50,000 for an embryonic edit than a lifetime of chronic care? Could they financially coerce expecting parents into editing their embryos by threatening to deny future coverage? Crazy as it sounds, these are real legal battles brewing right now. Moving right along to Section 3, Installing Premium Upgrades, the Enhancement Divide. Let's be honest here. Humanity has never been satisfied with just fixing bugs. We love premium features. Inevitably, we are going to move past just curing diseases and start installing functional upgrades. Now, it's important to note that these optimized traits aren't science fiction and they aren't alien. They're natural genetic variations copied from rare individuals who already possess them. Imagine essentially paying a subscription fee to unlock a 5 hours of sleep perk, or a super high natural resistance to Alzheimer's, or even practically unbreakable bones. It sounds wild, but the code is already out there. But if these functional enhancements become luxury commodities, well, biological inequality could become hereditary. We could see the terrifying rise of a literal genetic caste system. The wealthy wouldn't just have better education anymore, they would be biologically superior, taller, healthier, smarter.
We might even see genetic elitism pop up in dating apps, where people start demanding verified genomic certificates. Ultimately, the beautiful, diverse, and vulnerable default human condition that we all share today could become deeply stigmatized. And that takes us to Section 4, Copyrights and Biohackers. Basically, the terms of service for human biology. As you know, in software, intellectual property is everything. So imagine a biotech corporation patenting a proprietary genetic security patch for immunity against coronaviruses and then demanding a licensing fee for your child's code. This leads directly to what might be the most cutthroat industry on Earth. Just look at the multi-billion-dollar, decade-long patent war over the initial discovery of CRISPR itself. And keep in mind, that was just for the baseline infrastructure to edit cells. The fight over patenting specific human genetic modifications, that is going to be astronomically more complex. And the legal headaches extend way beyond patents, straight into the criminal justice system. For decades, DNA has been the unforgeable gold standard of forensic science. But if we can edit DNA like software, that biological signature is no longer permanent. Imagine a suspect using a viral vector to temporarily alter their DNA, or spoofing someone else's genetic sequence to leave fake DNA evidence at a crime scene. I mean, it would throw our entire forensic and judicial system into absolute chaos.
Next up is Section 5, Geopolitics and Planetary Code Network Effects.
So, you might be thinking, can we just globally ban human genetic enhancement? Well, the source material argues that's practically impossible. We already saw this back in 2018 with the Chinese CRISPR baby scandal, where a scientist modified twin girls to be HIV resistant. The reality is, if strict nations ban it, wealthy couples are just going to flood to unregulated genetic havens to optimize their embryos. And on a macro scale, this sparks a geopolitical genetic arms race. Imagine an authoritarian nation mandating genetic enhancement to create super soldiers, or maybe a hyper-intelligent, climate-resilient workforce. The pressure to compete globally would likely force even the most cautious democracies to subsidize biological upgrades for their own citizens, just to keep up. And remember, we aren't just editing humans here, we're editing the planetary code. Take the gene drive, for example. In classical genetics, an offspring has a 50% chance of inheriting a gene, but a synthetic gene drive forces a 100% inheritance rate in the wild. So if you release a few mosquitoes edited to be sterile, that trait spreads like wildfire. Within generations, an entire malaria-carrying species could be wiped out globally. Now, on one hand, that's a humanitarian miracle, but from an ecological standpoint, updating one library in a highly complex ecosystem codebase could trigger catastrophic, unpatchable chain reactions. And the democratization of this technology creates an entirely new threat model, the open-source biohacker. Just as cheap PCs birthed software hacking, cheap CRISPR kits bought online are creating a massive DIY biolab movement. Now, while a lot of people share open-source cures on platforms like GitHub, the dark side is that teenagers in converted garages could potentially engineer highly resilient, vaccine-resistant pathogens. It's a terrifying thought. To prevent a catastrophic bioterror event, governments might literally be forced to implement unprecedented invasive biosurveillance, which would completely cost us our extreme digital and physical privacy. This brings us to our final section, Section 6, Writing the Legal Blueprints, the Developer Guidelines. So how do we avoid a completely dystopian outcome here? Well, we need to rewrite our ethical operating system before this biological software outpaces us entirely. Our sources outline a proposed universal declaration of the human genome. It emphasizes subsidizing therapy, basically making curing diseases a universal right. It also calls for strict democratic limits to restrict commercial enhancements and prevent that terrifying genetic caste system we talked about. We absolutely need genetic privacy, meaning no corporate patents on human code. And finally, we have to form a global biosecurity alliance to establish international treaties on synthetic DNA. Ultimately, what we're talking about is taking the steering wheel from 4 billion years of blind natural evolution. We're wielding a tool that borders on the divine. We literally have the capability to conquer devastating diseases, adapt to climate change, and perhaps even halt aging altogether. We're moving from being the caretakers of this planet to its lead developers, writing code for an operating system we are really only just beginning to understand. The code is now securely in our hands. The keyboard is ready. Which leaves us with the ultimate question to wrap up this explainer. If you had the power to safely rewrite your own biological software, what is the one bug or upgrade you would choose? Let that sink in, because the future of human biology is no longer written in stone. It's written in code.
Please like and subscribe.